Hello, everyone. This is Patrick from ApplyChat Healthcare. Welcome to our latest ApplyChat Healthcare podcast as part of our regular webinar series on nurse and healthcare recruitment topics and healthcare human resource matters generally. To watch our webinar videos and view the presentation notes, you can find the link to our YouTube page in the podcast notes. You can also find all of our free resources and learn how ApplyChat Healthcare finds more qualified nurse applicants for our healthcare clients by visiting us at applychathealthcare.com.
Hi everyone, welcome along. Today I have the pleasure to be joined by Cathy Wichman. Cathy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Cathy Wichman. I am a nurse by training and am currently acting as the CEO of the Indiana Organization for Nursing Leadership.
Great, and today we're going to talk about Cathy's rural hospital nurse recruitment strategies, which cut $1 million in traveler spend. Really excited about this. I know this is a pertinent issue for many rural hospitals. Today the format's a little bit different. We're going to try and get to know Cathy a little bit before learning about her nurse recruitment strategies. So, Cathy, what's your favorite sports team?
Well, I have worn to represent, I don't know if you can see in my shirt, my Cincinnati Reds baseball team. They are the hottest team in baseball currently, which is very different from formal past years.
Okay.
So I love the Reds, and I also love the Dallas Cowboys, the football team, the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
So those are my two faves.
The Dallas Cowboys is the only sports team in America that I know.
Hopefully, they are America's team. That's why you know them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite city in the country?
You know, that's a hard one for me, just because I haven't been to every city, obviously, but I love San Antonio for its history and its culture. I've been there a couple of times, so I love San Antonio. But for me personally, anywhere my family is going to be my favorite place. So my family is really important to me. So you got to love where you live, and I live in Columbus, Indiana, and I love it here. So yeah.
I see. Yeah. So I love San Antonio as well. If you could do one other job, what would it be?
I debated whether I should share this or not, but in full transparency, sometime in another life, I want to see what it feels like to be a bartender, and also see what it feels like to be a short order cook. Those two jobs have always fascinated me because of the skills that those people have to have in order to be successful. So one day I'm going to try those two things.
Just for one night, and we'll see if you survive.
Maybe one night. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And Cathy, what's the best advice you've ever heard?
The best advice I've ever heard. My dad's mom, my mamaw, used to say to me as a kid when things would get rough or hard, she'd say, "Cathy, this too shall pass." And she'd say, when things are hard, it'll pass. But you also have to remember, when things are great and you're on top of the world, that too shall pass. And I really felt like my whole career I've held on to that. So you can't really get too high and you can't really get too low. You have to just stay steady. You need to enjoy life when things go your way, but you have to enjoy life when they don't as well. So because they're both going to pass. So that was the great advice from my grandma, my mama Mize.
Yeah. I think that's especially important if you're a nurse as well, nurse recruitment.
Absolutely.
Particularly nursing, because things can get hard.
They do.
Now, whenever we connected, I was excited to see you're now a chair of an organization that works with nurses. If nurses out there aspire to be a CNO, what kind of advice can you give them to get ahead in their careers?
The short answer for that is to say yes to opportunities. Yes to them all, even if they don't come with compensation or a certain title, because what you get by saying yes to opportunities is 1,000 times more worth it than pay. By far is the experience that you get. That's your payment. So it prepares you for when that next big opportunity comes. It's two things. One, you've gotten experience in other areas. And two, the people that you say yes to often remember that you're a go-to person, that you take on challenges and opportunities for the betterment of yourself and for the organization without thinking about compensation and title. You're thinking about, how can I be better professionally and how can I grow into the leader the organization needs me to be? So I think that's it. Say yes when you can.
Yeah, I love it. Now, nurse recruitment is tough, as we all know, and it's getting tougher each year that goes on. Why do you think
Yeah.
it's so hard to hire, attract, and retain nurses in 2023?
2023 happens to be post-pandemic. And if you remember, in the beginning, healthcare heroes were heroes, and then it got really hard and difficult, and nurses were perceived, as being a part of the system that, enforced, the politicalness of getting the shot, the vaccine, or not getting the vaccine, masking versus not masking. When in reality, all we were trying to do is just take care of patients and keep them safe. And so I think it's hard for us to recruit people into the profession right now. We really have a long road ahead of us to make sure that people understand the value that nursing brings, and that we truly are ultimately about caring for people where they are. And there's so much reward in a profession like that. And I think speaking to that is really what our next steps are. And in 2023, that's the challenge, is being that voice of the profession that's seen in a really positive light. And to be fair, it's not just nursing, it's healthcare in general. Recruitment to healthcare in general is hard right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely need to remember how they were seen as heroes back then. A lot of people have forgotten that, and
Yeah.
I like how you're keeping that in mind. Now, I was really intrigued whenever you told me that as CNO, you'd cut $1 million in travel spend at a rural hospital.
Yeah.
Could you share with us first of all, you need to have good retention, first of all, as a base. Which nurse retention initiatives do you recommend?
That's that. I always say that that's a tricky question, because retention strategies are nice. I mean, I think they're an really important part of keeping people engaged in their workforce, whether it's nursing or any other profession. But for me, what's really worked my entire career is treating people with honor and respect. Really knowing them, listening to them, valuing them as the unique person that they are. In thinking along those lines, when I'm thinking about opportunities for nurses, that's really important to grow them professionally to where they want to get to, not necessarily where I want them to be. And I think having a leader team, a nursing leadership team that's transparent and empathetic and willing to get into the trenches with staff matters. And when I say into the trenches, I mean wherever they are, if that's bedside or at a computer doing quality, if they need support, that we get right alongside them and do that work. So you can call those initiatives, but I think it's really just creating a culture that focuses on that nurse where they are, whether that's in the minute of I'm brand new to I'm trying to get into that next level of leadership.
Okay, whenever you were looking to cut that $1 million, did you have any amazing vendors or external partners that helped you do it?
Gosh, we did have some vendors that helped us along the way from a technology perspective. And I hesitate to shout out to any one given vendor just because there were quite a few. But my favorite kind of vendor are the ones that listen to the needs of the staff, who want to understand the unique workflow of the organization, and then do all that they can to serve them where they are. So, that more individualized approach, those vendors are the ones that really helped us. So, in the midst of the pandemic, when we were really trying to retain nurses, we focused on our nurse call system, which was through Hillrom, aka Baxter now. So I like to give them a shout out because they did exactly that. We said we need XYZ, and they met us where we were. Massimo Technologies, same thing. We wanted bedside equipment that would drop data right into our e-chart without expensive interface. They did that for us. So, but it was because they listened to what we needed and they met us where we were. So yeah. I'd say those things were really important.
That's why they're about to fix the problem, and they need to listen to what the real problem is.
That's
Um,
absolutely.
so you did really well, obviously, at the hospital you worked at. Others are struggling to reduce
Mhm.
traveler spend and become at least not making a loss anymore, not
Right.
and some want to be profitable. What do you think it's going to take for hospitals to invest more in their nurse recruitment?
I think it's going to take a couple of things. I think it's a shift in the way that we think about nurses or healthcare clinicians in general of, you know, oftentimes they're the first line on the expense budget that's the most expensive. And so when times get hard, our initial gut reaction is to cut the expense, cut the expense. So we have to think of nurses as revenue producing people. They
Mm,
produce revenue for us in a lot of different ways that you don't capture on a spreadsheet. And so, as the nursing profession, we've got to do a better job speaking the language of our CEOs and CFOs to have them see that value and what it does for an organization. But I will say this, and this is going to be a bold statement: if CEOs and CFOs and C suites in hospitals did not learn that lesson through the pandemic, with the shortage that there is and the significance of investing in nurse recruitment all the time, not just when we're in a pandemic. If they didn't learn that lesson, it's going to be a challenge for them to be successful long term because nothing teaches you better than experience does. And certainly we learned that hospitals would be crippled without the expertise and compassion that nurses bring to the bedside.
mm, thank you. I'm
You're welcome.
100% in agreement.
Yeah.
So, can you share with us finally to end your biggest nurse recruitment secret, particularly one that helped you reduce that $1 million traveler spend at a rural hospital?
Yeah. So it kind of goes back to that whole question you asked me about retention. It's a lot of the same stuff, but for me personally, I have always stayed close to the bedside. It didn't matter what role I held. So even as a chief nursing officer, I picked up night shift as a staff nurse. I worked in supervision. I cared for patients at the bedside during the pandemic as in the ICU. I've worked in the ER. I've gone to stick IVs and wherever is needed. I teach nursing school, senior nursing leadership students, and I've also taught CNAs how to be CNAs. So the secret that's in there is to stay really close to where nurses are, stay relevant, stay where they are, understand what their barriers are, experience what their barriers are. Um, when people see your face next to them and they're there as a student, they're there as a part of an organization that might be learning about what you're doing from a nursing perspective at your hospital. There is nothing like the power of the spoken word amongst healthcare providers. So if they hear, man, that nursing leadership team at whatever hospital you're at, they are in the trenches with you. They are there. They get it. Man, that is the recruitment tool of all recruitment tools. And I believe with 100% of my being that that's the secret sauce. It really truly is being where they are, sharing the good, the bad, the ugly, the highs and the lows, and understanding and listening and reacting to what our nurses need. It's not a gimmick. It can't be a culture of, oh, we're going to give you pizza and a star on your badge. It means that I'm going to be here changing this patient head to toe with you. I'm going to give that bath just like alongside of you. That's what does it for nurses. We don't need a lot. We want what we need to take care of patients. We want to be compensated fairly for what we're doing, and we want to have the opportunity to grow professionally in a culture that supports us caring the very best way we can for our patients and our community. You give nurses that, you won't have any trouble recruiting people. So that's the secret sauce. That's it.
Thank you so much. That was rousing. I feel motivated after
Yeah.
listening to that. Uh, Great, Cathy. That's our 10 quick fire questions. Appreciate you coming
Yeah,
on
it's fun.
and look forward to seeing what you do in the future. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Adam, for having me. It's been great. I look forward to talking
Okay.
to you more.
Bye.